Union Cabinet takes key decisions to improve space science by opening up space assets for private sector participation in the entire range of space activities newly created in Space Centre to provide level playing field for private companies to use space infrastructure. Prime Minister lauds the move as yet another step towards making our nation self-reliant and technologically advanced. In other landmark decisions to boost sectoral growth and employment, Cabinet approves bringing 1,540 cooperative banks under RBI supervision. 15,000 crore infrastructure development fund set up for development of animal husbandry sector. Prime Minister says move will boost income of farmers and give impetus to investment in sectoral infrastructure. Working mechanism for consultation and coordination on India-China Border Affairs holds a 15th meeting. Emphasis on both sides to strictly respect and observe LAC. Both sides agree to maintain communication at diplomatic and military level to resolve existing situation peacefully. Government provides further relief for taxpayers, extends various time limits for compliance. Deadline for filing IT returns for financial year 2018-19 extended till 31st July 2020. Also extends deadline for IT returns for year 2019-20 till 30th November 2020. India's recovery rate improves to over 56% with 2,58,000 recoveries. Active cases cross 1,83,000 with 14,476 fatalities. Tamil Nadu intensifies lockdown measures in some districts, imposes travel restrictions till June 30th. West Bengal extends lockdown till 31st July. COVID testing ramps up in the country. Global corona cases rise over 94 lakh with over 4,82,000 deaths world over. US notices second largest rise in new cases since crisis began. California sees 69% rise in 2 days. WHO beholds 10 millionth coronavirus case next week. US State Department report indicts Pakistan on supporting terror. Says Pakistan continues to serve as safe haven for terror groups targeting India and Afghanistan. Emphasizes Islamabad is yet to take decisive action against terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed to undermine their operational capabilities. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news. I'm Rukma and our top story. A host of important cabinet decisions were announced yesterday. Much of the focus was on the historic decision in the space sector. Invaluable assets and data of India's space sector will be opened for the private sector now. To the comfort of depositors, all cooperative banks have been brought under the supervision of the RBI. Besides, Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund worth 15,000 crore rupees has been approved to boost dairy agro production, exports and income generation. Here's more.
In the cabinet meeting on Wednesday, a number of important decisions have been taken to boost the basic infrastructure in the country. The most important decision was taken in the space sector. Now, private sector participation in space activities has been approved. It will definitely help India become self-reliant and technologically advanced in the sector.
आज तक अंतरिक्ष में हमने अच्छा विकास किया है। अब ये सारे एसेट्स सब लोगों के उपयोग के लिए एक तरह से खुल रहे हैं।
Centre has constituted a new body called Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre. These reforms will help boost employment in the space sector and also aid India emerge as a bigger player in the space arena in the world.
नई संस्था एक ही बनी है और वो कोई अलग से साइंटिफिक संस्था नहीं है। इसका नाम ही है इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस प्रमोशन एंड ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। तो ये सबको जोड़ करके जो भी प्लान्स बनेंगे कैसे चलाने आगे और अब उसका मैकेनिज्म अभी उसकी रचना हो रही है।
Important decisions were also taken with regards to the animal husbandry sector. The Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund worth 15,000 crore rupees has been approved by the cabinet. Beneficiaries will be eligible for 3% interest subvention. It is expected to lead to boost in dairy production, exports and income generation.
देश में पहली बार हम प्राइवेट एंटरप्रेन्योर को इसमें ला रहे हैं और 3% इंटरेस्ट सबमिशन हम दे रहे हैं और एक तरह से कहें कि इस स्कीम में केवल 10% लाभार्थी को एंटरप्रेन्योर को अपना पूंजी लगेगा.
Another important decision, all cooperative banks and multi-state cooperative banks will now come under the supervision of the Reserve Bank of India. As a result of the decision, around 1,540 banks will come under the purview of RBI. This step will assure depositors regarding safety and security of their funds.
ये सारी बैंक 1540 है, ये तुरंत प्रभाव से आरबीआई के सुपरविजन पावर में आ जाएंगे. आरबीआई की जो सुपरवाइजिंग की तरीका है शेड्यूल बैंक के लिए भी वही इन कोऑपरेटिव बैंकों पर लागू होगा.
These banks have over 8 crore accounts with funds of over 4.84 lakh crore rupees. The government has also decided to provide 2% interest subvention on Shishu loans under the PM Mudra Yojana. Talking about other cabinet decisions, cabinet has decided to declare Kushinagar Airport as an international airport. The cabinet also decided to extend the tenure of the OBC Commission by 6 months as its functioning was affected due to the coronavirus lockdown. The Union Cabinet has also approved additional investment by OVL in Myanmar gas blocks. UPCM Yogi Adityanath has welcomed the decision regarding Kushinagar International Airport.
कुशीनगर स्थित जो एक निर्माणाधीन एयरपोर्ट है उसे इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट के रूप में अपनी स्वीकृति देने के लिए मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का और केंद्रीय कैबिनेट का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं.
Various decisions taken by the cabinet are expected to promote self-reliance and boost job creation and economy. With inputs from Shailendra Mishra in New Delhi, DD India.
The Prime Minister took to Twitter to share the news. He lauded the efforts of the Union Cabinet, specifically terming the space reforms as yet another step towards making our nation self-reliant and technologically advanced. He also stressed on the government's focus on the MSME sector, saying that the scheme would provide valuable support and stability to small businesses. Prime Minister Modi said that the setting up of the Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund augurs well for the sector, adding that it will boost the income of our hardworking farmers and investment and sectoral infrastructure, especially in dairies, will get an impetus. PM also lauded the decision to declare Kushinagar Airport as an international airport, adding that connectivity will improve significantly and that more tourists and pilgrims will also mean better opportunities for the local population. The 15th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held through video conference on the 24th of June, that's yesterday. The Indian delegation was led by Joint Secretary East Asia, while Director General of the Department of Boundary and Oceanic Affairs of the Chinese MFA led the Chinese delegation. The two sides discussed in detail the developments in the India-China border areas, in particular the situation in eastern Ladakh. The Indian side conveyed its concerns on the recent developments in eastern Ladakh, including on the violent face-off in the Galwan Valley area. on the 15th of June that had resulted in casualties. In this regard, it was emphasized that both sides should strictly respect and observe the line of actual control. The two sides recalled the conversation last week between External Affairs Minister and the Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi, and reaffirmed that both sides should sincerely implement the understanding on disengagement and de-escalation reached by senior commanders on 6th of June. The two delegations agreed that implementation of this understanding expeditiously in accordance with the bilateral agreements and protocols would help ensure peace and tranquility in border areas and the development of broader ties between the two countries. In this context, they also took note of the discussions in the second meeting of the senior commanders held on 22nd June. The two sides also agreed to maintain communication both at diplomatic and military levels, including under the framework of the WMCC, to resolve the existing situation peacefully. And our correspondent Amritpal Singh gets us this report from Leh. Let's listen in.
India and China in diplomatic talks on Wednesday reaffirmed their commitment to the de-escalation and the disengagement process, which was agreed upon at the Corps Commanders level meet on the 6th of June, and then reiterated the commitment to the de-escalation process. They reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining peace, calm and tranquility along the line of actual control. And ahead of this disengagement process, the Army Chief visited forward locations along the line of actual control on Wednesday. He was in Leh for a two-day review of the operational preparedness of the Army units. He interacted with formation commanders and took stock of the situation. He also interacted with troops and boosted their morale by giving them commendation cards of the Chief of Army Staff for exceptional devotion to duty. On Tuesday, he had met the soldiers who were injured in the violent incident on the 14th and 15th night, who were recovering at the military hospital at Leh, and boosted their morale. With cameraman Sumit Naudyal, Amritpal Singh, DD India, Leh.
Amid a spike in COVID-19 cases without any travel history in Guwahati, the Assam government has imposed a 14-day complete lockdown in the city in 11 wards from Tuesday night. The administration has decided to impose ward-wise lockdown in the city to prevent community transmission of the virus. However, the essential item shops will remain open from morning 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. in the evening. And in Madurai, an intense lockdown has come into effect in Tamil Nadu from today till June 30th. The lockdown was imposed by the Tamil Nadu government in Madurai following an alarming rise in COVID-19 cases here, in a bid to give the authorities time to check the spread of the disease. The lockdown is in force in Madurai Corporation limits, all village panchayats of Madurai East and West, Paravai Town Panchayat and Thiruparangundram. The lockdown has exempted some services including milk supply, hospitals, labs, ambulances and funeral hearse vans, rental, auto, taxis and private vehicles are not allowed except for airport travel and emergency medical services. Vegetable grocery, mobile shops and fuel pumps are permitted between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. Central and state government offices have been allowed to function with 33% attendance. Banks have been permitted to open with 33% staff only on June 29th and 30, but ATMs will be functional. Services for the elderly and old age homes, disabled people and orphanages are exempt. Construction and manufacturing activities have been permitted, availing workers on strike during the lockdown period. A complete lockdown will be observed on June 28th with exemptions only for essential services. And also in West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Wednesday announced extension of the lockdown till the 31st of July, that's next month, with continuance of existing relaxations. The current spell of the lockdown was to end on June 30th. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will launch the e-blood services app, an initiative of the Indian Red Cross Society dedicated to the fight against COVID-19 in a short while from now. And news from Jammu and Kashmir: an encounter is underway between terrorists and security forces at Harchiva area of Sopore in North Kashmir. 2 to 3 terrorists are believed to be trapped here. 1 terrorist has been killed. And news just coming in from Mumbai: a fire has broke out at a bank in Nariman Point at around 5 this morning. At least 5 fire engines and 4 jumbo tankers are undertaking firefighting operations to douse the raging flames. The fire is confined to equipment of a server room in the bank located on the ground floor in an area covering about 4,000 square feet in a high-rise building. The building has 1 level basement, ground and 14 upper floors. No one is trapped inside. And in order to provide further relief to taxpayers to make various compliances, the government has issued a notification, the salient features of which are as follows. Time for filing of original as well as revised income tax returns for the year 2018 to 19 and 2019 to 20 has been extended to 31st July 2020. Due date for income tax returns for the financial year 2019 to 20 has been extended to 30th November 2020. Hence, return of income which are required to be filed by 31st July 2020 and 31st October 2020 can be filed up to 30th November 2020. Consequently, the date for furnishing tax audit report has also been extended to 31st October 2020. In order to provide relief to small and middle class taxpayers, the date for payment of self-assessment tax in the case of a taxpayer whose self-assessment tax liability is up to 1 lakh rupees has also been extended to 30th November 2020. The date for making various investment or payment for claiming deduction under Chapter 6A(b) of the IT Act, which includes Section 80C, LIC, PPF, NSC, etc., 80D, Mediclaim, ATG, donations, etc., has also been further extended to 31st July 2020. Hence, the investment or payment can be made up to 31st July 2020 for claiming the deduction under these sections for 2019 to 20. The date for linking of Aadhaar with PAN would also be extended to 31st March 2021. The Ministry of Railways has reviewed the progress of the Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan with zonal railways and railways PSUs through video conference meeting. Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan is in operation in 116 identified districts of 6 states. Chairman Railway Board Vinod Kumar Yadav took a video conference meeting with general managers and divisional railway managers and managing directors of PSUs regarding the progress of Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan. Addressing the meeting, Yadav instructed zonal railways to appoint nodal officers in each district as well as in the state so that a close coordination is established with the state government. He directed railway administration at zonal level to act proactively to ensure migrants are engaged in projects and paid accordingly. Zonal railways have been instructed to expedite execution of all ongoing infrastructure work in these identified districts. Nearly 160 infrastructure works have been identified to be expedited. These would engage thousands of workers and roughly generate 8 lakh man days of employment by the end of October this year. Approximately 1,800 crore rupees would be spent in these districts. The Railways has also identified a number of railway works which can be executed through Manrega. Now, moving on, India's battle against COVID-19 continues. The government is taking several steps for its prevention, containment and management. These are in a significant ramping of testing facilities across the country. More than 2 lakh samples per day were tested till Wednesday, with 2,15,195 samples tested till Tuesday. The total number of samples tested thus far is 73,52,911. Private labs have also reached the highest per day sampling. With this quantity, India now has 1,000 labs across the country, which includes 730 in the government sector, 270 private labs. There are 557 real-time PCR-based testing labs present in the country, also 363 TourNet-based testing labs and 80 CBNAT-based test labs are being used for diagnosis. The number of COVID-19 patients recovering every day is growing too. A total of 258,684 patients have been cured. The recovery rate is now 56.71% and presently there are 1,83,022 active cases. All are under active medical supervision. And now here's a look at COVID-19 updates from across the world. Globally, over 94,05,000 people have tested positive for the virus, while over 4,82,000 have lost their lives to it. The United States continues to remain the worst affected as far as number of confirmed cases, followed by Brazil and Russia. Over 23,80,000 people have tested positive across the United States, while over 1,21,000 have died due to the virus so far. Brazil has recorded over 53,000 deaths and over 11,88,000 confirmed cases, trailing behind the US in both categories, but only at second place. Russia has reported over 6,06,000 confirmed cases. And World Health Organization expects coronavirus cases to hit the 10 millionth mark by next week. Terming it a sober reminder, WHO chief Tedros said that even as we continue R&D into vaccines and therapeutics, we have an urgent responsibility to do everything we can with the tools we have now to suppress transmission and save lives. Tedros backed Saudi Arabia's decision to ban pilgrims from abroad from attending the annual Hajj pilgrimage to help limit the spread of the virus. On the spread in the Americas, WHO has issued a warning saying that the virus was still raging there and needed a very aggressive response from governments to suppress the spread. According to the WHO, many countries, including Britain, had fought hard and were making a steady exit from the lockdown. WHO chief has expressed concern that many countries are now experiencing difficulties obtaining oxygen concentrators. He said that one of the most effective ways to save lives from COVID-19 is providing oxygen to patients who need it. And the World Health Body estimates that at the current rate of 1 million new cases a week, the world needs about 6,20,000 cubic meters of oxygen a day, which is nearly 88,000 large cylinders. And that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Coming up next is the weather report.